it is 10 years this week since the British photojournalist John Cantlie was kidnapped by ISIS militants in Syria. Let's go to London for more on the story. We're joined by journalist Jonathan Sacerdoti. And Jonathan, although John Cantlie is presumed dead, his body has never actually been found, has it?
John Cantlie was last seen alive in an ISIS video, a propaganda video recorded in Mosul, Iraq, back in December 2016. There were unconfirmed reports in 2017 that he was killed in an airstrike. But as you say, we've never known conclusively if that's the case. This week marks the 10th anniversary of his capture. And since then, he's not been seen at all since that video. He was kidnapped in November 2012, and he was kept prisoner with many other European and US prisoners. He saw 15 of those other European hostages eventually freed from the Islamic State cell where he was kept. And of course, he saw the UK and US prisoners all marched out and beheaded. That's because of the policy that the US and the UK have not to negotiate and not to pay ransoms, which means that he was left languishing there with the family not knowing too much back in the UK. So recently, though, as February 2019, Ben Wallace, the British Defence Secretary, stated that Cantlie was believed to be alive, but he didn't provide any evidence as to why he was of that opinion. He is now presumed to be dead, and his family have held a small ceremony for his funeral.
And in a horrible irony, John Cantlie was a journalist, and he was working to expose what the Assad regime was doing to the Syrian people. He ended up being forced to disseminate ISIS propaganda.
Yes, over the years, he was featured in films and wrote articles for Islamic State's online Dabiq magazine, possibly acting as a spokesman for ISIS as a way to avoid being killed himself. The British Foreign Office, though, encouraged his family and others to maintain a degree of silence around the details of his imprisonment. And as such, that's meant that there have been people who actually maybe believed that he had turned, that he was somehow an ISIS shill, which is seen by those close to him as extremely unfair and a second part of the tragedy of what happened to him. But those videos, of course, were believed now to be his way of trying to survive. It seems very unlikely that he is alive. Even 10 years afterwards, the family have now made peace, obviously, with the idea that that's unlikely to be the case and have held that funeral, as I said.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Jonathan Sacerdoti there in London.